Hello there, and welcome to the Unlucky Few. My name is Liz, here with the wonderful Cass.
That's me.
Is. And today we'll be bringing you another one of our Session Zeros from this campaign. Exciting one today, as this comes after the finale for the first two Session Zeros. This kind of begins our second arc, so to speak, for the Session Zeros that will contain those of Cass, Ash, and Audie. So, without further ado, I think we should probably jump right in.
Sounds good.
Alright, so we begin in between early and mid-morning. We find our character of the hour currently asleep in the cellar of a local tavern. Light is just starting to kind of make its way, shimmering through the gated, grated windows that are located in the very top foot of the cellar, sort of just like letting fresh air in from the outside. The first rays sort of just finding purchase across your body, and finally hitting one strikes across your eyes, sort of kind of waking you up. Can you please describe to everyone what your character looks like as you get up?
Well, they've just been sleeping in the cellar of a tavern, so they're kind of scraggly. A little scraggly, pretty tousled. Their hair is dark and shaved on one side and kind of flipped over, but since it's so messy right now, it sticks up all over the place. Their eyes are watery and red and kind of big, but they're not like kawaii anime big. They're more like just kind eyes and soft features. Their ears are rat's ears, of course, but they're torn and pierced, and a couple of them have been ripped out.
The ears of the piercings. The ears of the piercings.
The piercings. A couple of the piercings are ripped out. You can't rip out the couple of ears, otherwise you would have none. Their clothes are pretty simple. Just a plain, like, white piratey shirt kind of sort of thing, baggy, and loose-fitting pants with a million pockets. And there's a whole bunch of different, like, little bits of food and different weapons and little tools in their pockets. Not comfortable to sleep on, but they do it anyway. And I think that's about it.
So as you come to wakefulness in the cellar, typically you don't sleep in any place that you would consider this nice, though as you're walking by it the night before, the very, very famous Elf Song Tavern in the merchant quarter or the merchant district of the city, the lower parts of the city, that is. You stumbled across the door to the cellar, just hoping more than anything. You kind of gave it a tug and found that it was actually open, so you scurried on down inside for a night's sleep and are now coming to wake in it. You have a small bag of your belongings next to you, as well as one scroll and one short book that you had borrowed from. Let me just look this up to make sure I do not botch the name. You had borrowed from a local library of sorts, though kind of a library built out of someone's home, titled The Next Page. It's the name of the shop/library, located right along the docks.
Got it. You said I had a scroll as well?
You had a scroll and a book, both borrowed from there.
Got it.
But yeah, as you wake up, there's some kind of pieces of food kind of laying around the cellar, as well as drink that you can obviously take before you leave if you would like, but it's up to you what you would like to do.
If there's little pieces of food around, obviously I'm going to be putting them in my pockets. What do I find?
Make an investigation check. First roll of the session 0.
Hooray! No, I want this one. 13.
Plus?
2. 15.
15? Alright, you're able to find like a decent amount of like dried fruit and stuff, as well as like dried meats, kind of like jerky, bacon, things like that.
Okay. I want to put the dried fruit into my pocket, if that's okay.
Mhm.
And the jerky.
And the jerky.
Yeah.
All right, sounds good. You also find a like a small barrel of mead as well.
A small
barrel of mead. Yes.
Cool.
But that looks like it might be too big to be carried out, at least.
Are there any empty bottles lying around?
You don't have any empty bottles, but you do have a water skin on you, which is currently empty.
Okay. Then I'll fill my water skin halfway with mead.
Sounds good. Anything else you would like to do before you depart for the day? Kind of wanting to get out of there before anyone sort of either got suspicious or had to come down here for work for
Nope,
the day.
I'm out.
Sounds good. All right, so you head out, kind of like shielding your eyes from the light as you first exit, just because you're going from a very dark, damp cellar to immediately being out in the sunlight. You are in the market district of the lower parts of the city. It is not as nice as like the noble district, and certainly not as exclusive to be in as the noble district, but as you have spent most of your time either at the docks or in like the dust town, not an area that is like the most familiar to you. But yes, you are out. The day is yours, and about the only thing that you know that you have to do today is you remember you did promise to the owner of this bookstore that you would bring back the book and the scroll today at some point, and that was it.
Alright, first thing I want to do is, I guess I'm going to start making my way back to that bookstore, but along the way I want to see what sort of like, shops and what sort of people are kind of around this area, because I'm not familiar with it.
Alright, since you're not really looking for anything in particular, just make a perception check. 18. All sorts of stores. There seems to just be the market district is one of the only places in the city where, well, the only place in the city limits where shops are like allowed to operate, sort of like short rather of different shops that provide like more services than goods. But as far as goods shop goes, this is where they are. They're all here. Let's see. But you pass clothing stores. You pass like alchemist potion stores. You pass stores that promise that they sell magical items, armor stores, weapon stores, stores that sell things as mundane as like furniture, even a couple like carts that are selling like some basic foods and some drinks and things like that, until eventually you make your way to you kind of are like walking through like the center of the market district, which you know is kind of like where you have to cut through in order to get to the docks. And that is a huge open kind of like circle clearing with a ring of stalls that kind of goes all the way around the outside, and another ring of stalls that goes all the way around the inside with space in between to walk. And at the very center is a huge building within the inner ring of stalls, about 4 stories tall, that is like the headquarters of the Merchants Guild here. But those stalls sell all different kinds of like foods and drinks and jewelry and potions and all sorts of other things. It smells really, really nice, especially this early in the morning when everyone is getting their food cooking.
It definitely smells really good.
Yes.
Are there any sort of stalls that are still being like set up this early in the morning?
At this point it's about 8 or 9 o'clock, so there are a few that are still getting going, but a lot of them are already like kind of putting out their have their wares put out, or just finishing putting out their wares for the day.
Okay. Are any of them currently being not watched very well?
Make a perception check.
20. Unnatural.
Yeah, it seems like kind of to your left, about as you kind of like walk in, you're about 100 feet in, you kind of see to your left about 50 feet is a stall that is actually 2 stories tall, with like ladders and wooden stairs built into it, and takes up 3 spaces because each stall is about 25 feet wide. So it's about 60 to 75 feet wide. Is like a huge bakery that's being operated and is sort of like putting out all sorts of like breads and pastries and tarts and croissants and things like that. But it seems like there's 4 people working there at the moment. One is currently kind of taking care of some bookwork with their back turned to the front. The other 3 are all in the upstairs part.
Okay. Can I see what's on sort of the display that's as far away from this person as possible?
Everything that I just described. There is like 2 or 3 fresh loaves of bread that just got cooked.
Okay.
There are different like pastries. A couple of them are sweet, but some of them are like more savory with like, you know, like a croissant with like some sort of like cross between like bacon and just like a slab of like ham just sort of like folded into the croissant. That.
As I walk by, can I try to palm 2 of them?
2 of them?
Yes.
Make a sleight of hand check.
What is my sleight of hand? Oh, it's +7. Hello. Okay, so that's what is that? 21? 22?
16 plus 7, that's 23.
23.
I'm assuming they're going to that's cocked. That's on the floor. And that is a 15, so no one seems to notice you do that. I feel pretty confident you're able to take them and walk away without anyone noticing.
Cool, so now I have 2 ham croissants.
Yes, that is correct.
And I guess that's it. I'll carry on my way. Unless, are there any like of those small trinket, like magical item shops?
Those seem to be being watched a lot better.
Okay, I got you. Yeah, so we're moving on from here.
Heading on your way down to the bookstore?
Not gonna overstep my boundaries here. We've already gotten what we need. We're gonna keep moving.
So you are strolling along the docks at this point. You kind of reach near to where the bookstore is. As you pass, you do notice like a slight scene going on. Yeah, I guess it would be on the way there. Not sort of anything like major, but you just see 2 individuals. One appears to be a half-elf, one appears to be a tiefling, sort of talking to one of like the like bookkeepers of a local smithery. They just seem to be like having like a very intensive conversation.
Okay, and these are the people you said that are at the... Sorry, where are they?
They're just at one of like the local smitheries as you're walking by. And just kind of like see them talking. It's just like the reason it catches your eyes because the tiefling and the half-elf are kind of dressed in more noble-looking clothes, so they're clearly not like from this district. So you might just assume that like maybe the smithery like messed something up and now they're getting like audited or chastised or something. Sure. Unless you wish to stop, you continue making your way along to the bookstore.
As I'm walking by, do I notice anything particularly shiny hanging from their clothes? Or from their bags or anything like that?
None of them have bags on. The only thing you would notice is the kitty. The half elf has a very, very nicely stained U color wooden longbow slung across his back. The handle looks like it's made of polished solid silver with like runes carved all up it. Right next to it is just a nicely made leather quiver of just finely fletched arrows, as well as a rapier sitting on his side. For the tiefling, you can see 2 kind of hand crossbows along with their respective bolts hanging on each side, with like almost like a metal that is almost black in color rapier at his side as well. But that is all you notice.
Okay, these are all very well protected items that I can't palm.
It would definitely be hard to get them off just because the bow is like on a holster that is kind of like strapped along his back, and if you did mess up, you kind of feel like it would go pretty badly with how well they were armed. It would
be pretty bad. Yeah, no, these people don't look like they have anything in particularly interesting for him, so Arwynn's just gonna walk them little selves away.
Alright, so you continue on. You eventually reach the next page, which is the library slash just it's a house that someone turned into a library, pretty much is the best way to describe it. But you reach there. You remember being here yesterday when you borrowed the books. The door is currently is closed though. It is normally open at all times, so it does not appear that doesn't appear to be open at this time for whatever reason.
All right. Can I check around the back? I assume I probably sleep under there at some point.
You check around the back. The back door is also closed, though there is in the back like a letterbox there as well.
A letterbox?
Mm-hmm.
What's in it?
Nothing. It just seems like that's maybe where their mail gets put.
Okay. What should I do? Can I see in any windows?
Yeah. If you go back around to the front, there's like a window on either side of the door there.
All right. I can peek through.
It's a little bit of a mess. But there is the bookshelves that have the books and things that you've been in this store before, aside from just sleeping under it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, you just see like the books and the scrolls that are normally there. A couple of them like sitting on the floor. And then curiously enough, kind of like looking like past the bookshelves to where the little kitchen is in this house that has been converted into a library. Sitting on the faucet actually is a blackbird. Which
That's probably bad for the bird. Is the door locked?
Yes.
I have thieves' tools. Does that include a lockpicking?
That is certainly what thieves' tools are.
Cool. Thought so. So, can I try and let myself into the back door so no one sees me?
You can certainly try. If you're going to attempt to pick the lock, make a lockpick check.
18.
That is going to be plus your dexterity modifier.
Plus dex. Ooh, plus 3. So
plus
21.
Your proficiency bonus.
Plus proficiency. Where is that written?
Your proficiency bonus currently would be plus 2.
Plus 2?
Yes.
Sorry.
Alright, so that's 23 in total.
I guess so.
The door slides open with ease.
Cool. Let's check out that bird and attempt to get it out of the building.
The bird is, as you walk in, just staring at you. Kind of, sort of looks at you and head just...
Can I walk forward slowly and attempt to grab the bird around the wings gently?
The bird kind of like looks at you. You swear you see its eyes almost narrow at you as you approach, which is a very weird thing to say of a bird. But you get about 3 feet away before it just kind of opens its wings without really flying anywhere, and just caw!
Oh, he's angry. What is around that I could use to like trap the bird?
There's a whole lot of books and some scrolls.
No buckets, no containers, nothing like that.
And curiously, not a bird cage in sight.
Unusual. What do I do about this bird? Is there anything that I would see that... I don't know what I'm going to do with this bird. I'm just going to bum rush the bird. Let's go.
You get about 2 steps there, and the bird kind of flies up and flies sort of over top of your head, landing on a book that is sitting on the ground in front of one of the bookcases.
At this point, I figure out the bird probably belongs there. We're just going to let it be and walk around and try and find somebody in this building, because it's really unusual that it's not open.
It is empty.
It is empty completely.
There's this room, and you peek into the other room, and there's kind of like a washroom set up in the corner, but it's the bedroom, and it's empty.
Even after like calling out hello?
Yes, you do not see, I don't know that you've ever bothered to ask his name. I don't think you have, but you do not see the drow man that is typically that lives here and is typically here running the library.
I've never asked the drow man for his name.
No, because he gives like lessons to students that come in occasionally, and you kind of like watch them happen because you have an interest in magic yourself. But as far as asking his name, no, you typically come in and just sort of like wave and kind of like borrow a few things and then promise to return them and then leave. You've never stopped to like have a full out conversation with him.
Gotcha.
You kind of accepted the fact enough that like you didn't have to steal the books. He was perfectly content with you borrowing them as long as you returned to them in good condition. So
you know what I'm gonna do then? I'm trying to think if my character can write. My character can write. I want to just leave what I borrowed on. I assume there's like a desk.
Yes.
I'll leave it on the desk with like a small slip of paper that I can. I'm sure there's paper laying around.
Yeah.
Of course. I'll leave a small note, just write my name and whatever else I took, and I'll look around and see if there's anything interesting that I want to borrow.
Make an investigation check.
21.
Jesus, you're rolling real well.
I'm rolling so good today.
There's a couple things, like some histories, a couple of books on like advanced magic theory and just different like the history of magic and how it's worked, and like magic in recent times it's been declining, and like a couple of books on like the Mage Academy, a couple of books on like the decline of wizards, a couple of books on like how sorcery works and how magic when it's introduced through a bloodline is, how that compares to the magic that has been like granted to an individual by the gods through like a druid or a cleric or a paladin, and how those have been declining versus how like magic in the bloodlines has been declining versus how wizards are now considered extinct. There's a couple things that are interesting. Your attention is eventually drawn. The bird kind of like flaps its wings a couple of times, still sitting on the book that it landed on the first time. As if you look over, it'll make eye contact with you. It'll once again, as it attempts to, it kind of latches its feet into like the edge of the bindings of the book, and sort of flapping its wings kind of drags it like an inch at a time, moving in your direction.
Okay, so it's trying to drag this book towards me. I'm going to approach the bird carefully.
As you get about 3 feet away, the bird will kind of like hop off of the book and kind of like hop about a foot away, kind of next to the book now. It's kind of looking at you still expectantly.
I have beef jerky in my pocket, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can I give a piece of it to the bird?
You can try. Make an animal handling check.
Oh God. 19.
It doesn't seem to take it right from your hand, but as you kind of like set it down maybe like 6 inches in front of the bird and sort of retreat your hand, the bird kind of like takes a step forward and just
cool.
I've
given the bird a jerky.
And then still looks at the book again, looks back up at you again.
And now I'm gonna take the book.
The book is like an introduction to magic book for like basic spellcasting, kind of like how if one could still learn magic, how magic was like taught back in the day, and how one could hope to read enough and study it enough to eventually become like someone who practices it themselves.
Okay. I'm gonna definitely pocket that book. First thing I want to do is open to a random page. What's on it?
Roll me a D100. That is both D10s.
This one.
All right.
80.
You open up to page 80. Page 80 details the importance of always having the right tool for the job. Some spells require material components to make them function. Without these material components, it does not matter how much magic you have inside of you. It does not matter if you say the right words. It does not matter if you make the right hand motions for them. If you do not have the materials, the spell will not activate. A good example of this is if we look at a wonderful little cantrip that is very useful to know called Message. Message allows you to communicate telepathically with anyone within 120 feet of you. You whisper something to them. They can hear it inside their mind. They whisper it back to you. While your whisper can be heard, the other person can respond inside their mind with you hearing it. The material components to this is very specifically a thin piece of wire that is extended out into a straight line, and then a ring at the end of it, sort of folded into it. You are to stick the end of the wire inside your mouth and then kind of speak through the wire as if you're sort of projecting the message with the open circle kind of facing the person that you're sending the message to, and then it cuts off.
Ooh, I'm gonna dog ear that page, and then I'm gonna tuck that book into my pocket and write it down on that note that I borrowed it.
Alright, sounds good. Anything else you're doing?
Is that bird up to anything else?
Just still sort of looking at you, kind of like.
I motioned to the bird, like, do you want to come with me?
The bird once again just...
Like, do you want to leave? There's some doors open. You're not stuck. It knows.
The bird, well, it waits for a second, but it's still just kind of standing there looking at you.
I'm going to take that as my cue to go.
As you are about to reach the door, the bird kind of cuts in front of you real quick, landing for a second on the handle of the door, sort of like coming in a quick circle so it can land and face you. Just kind of looking at you, hopping down its wings again. Looks at you again, and you just hear the beak not moving at this point, but inside of your head you just hear, do me a favor and try to make good use of that book, yeah? The bird is staring at you as it says this, and like as soon as it finishes, it just cocks its head expectantly at you.
I'll blink a few times at it for sure. But this seems like a cryptic message from a magical bird that I should definitely take. So I'll just nod a little bit. Yeah, sure.
Good. And thanks for the fresh air. The bird flies off.
Awesome. Great. I'll take my leave and lock the door on the way out.
Alright, so having departed, you do not have anything else to do with your day, so what would you like to do?
Good question. Who is milling around this little dock area?
At this point, it's starting to get to like the high noon of the day, so Baldur's Gate is one of the biggest, has the biggest harbor of any city along the Sword Coast. It is shaped like a giant U. There are dozens and dozens of full-size like galleons, transport ships, like trade ships. There are lots of people, hundreds upon hundreds of people running all about the docks, fulfilling manifests, checking paperwork, resupplying, unloading things, reloading things, making repairs to some of the ships, kind of like working on the sails, kind of like introducing one or two sailors to the crew that are going to come on for this. Some of the dock masters are kind of go around doing inspections on the ships and making sure everything is up to code and everything. Yeah, there's just it's a whole hub of activity down here.
Can I see if any of the ships are doing that thing where they're introducing new people to the ship, and like maybe there's something that Arwynn can do for like the day to earn a couple of coins?
Make a perception check.
Natural 20.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, you see there's one kind of like group sort of like talking to seems to be like either a captain or a first mate talking to three new sailors. Maybe like 75 feet from you, just kind of like got them all sitting down. It's just sort of like going over a couple things with them. They all appear to be human.
They're all human?
Yeah.
That's not gonna work. Even, you can just tell from a distance. What's on that boat?
They're not standing next to any particular ship, so...
Oh, I got you.
Yes.
Can I get a little closer and listen in?
Sure, if you would like. Are you trying to approach stealthily, or just kind of walk up casually?
Kind of walk up casually.
Alright, as you get close enough to listen in, it's just kind of, he's going over the basics. He's like, alright, he's like, so, making sure the three of you won't fuck up anything on our first trip out here. You'll all just be working with the rigging. We're going to go over the knots that you need to tie. We're going to go over when you need to loosen it, when you need to tighten it, how to kind of read the winds in order to maximize sail efficiency. Don't worry, there will be people looking over you the whole time to make sure you don't screw us out of any favorable headwinds or anything like that, or cause any serious damage to the ship. And as long as you don't completely sink us by the time we get there, who knows? Maybe one day you'll be in charge of all that yourself. So you're just sort of kind of going over that with them. They all seem to be like not only new to this ship, but kind of new to sailing in general, just kind of maybe trying their luck.
Arwynn has definitely done a few jobs like this in the past, at least while the ships were docked. Would there be anything that he could just do, like, that day, and where he wouldn't have to leave the dock?
Occasionally, sometimes they need help loading and unloading. It really depends on the captain. You've kind of learned what ships to look for and what ships to not look for, because some people will just refuse help outright because of what you are.
Yeah, this ship doesn't seem like a good fit, does it?
Make an insight check.
Oof. That's a 6. 9.
9. Even with a 9, you can still kind of like, you don't know for sure, but you can probably hazard a guess inside your own mind.
Yeah, we're gonna walk away from this one. What else is there to do around here?
There are sometimes like job boards that are featured.
Yes.
In like the in the market district and stuff.
Anything interesting on one of them?
You'd have to make your way there in order to see them. Go over stuff.
Got you. I thought you meant there was one nearby. My bad. Alright. On the way there, do I see anyone that's kind of like just hanging out, like not really paying attention to their belongings or to their cart or to their anything?
Make perception check.
Or anyone that looks like they'd like to play a game. That's a terrible roll. 10.
10. Seems like everyone is just kind of going about their business, sort of kind of taking it easy. Though the one thing that does catch your eye is there is maybe like, I would say 30 feet in front of you, kind of like walking the opposite direction as you, kind of like walking towards you, is another ferox. This one, a monkey. And make sure I get this description right as I do this. How tall is Arwynn?
5'1".
Alright, so standing about half a foot taller than you is a young-looking monkey ferox girl. Doesn't seem to have like much of anything on her aside from the clothes she's wearing. She's kind of wearing like baggier pants with kind of like low boots on as well. Kind of has like a loose fitting like sleeveless tunic that's kind of like a little bit low cut, allows for like a lot of ease of movement. Her tail poking out the back, her ears on top. She's got just like a very wild mane of blonde hair that's kind of like sort of cut with bangs a little bit to the front. It's kind of like pushed up and to the side and then sort of just like falling down. It's not like curly, but it's definitely like kind of wavy. Pretty like tan skin. Seems like she's used to being outside, and like deep like purpley violet colored eyes. As she is like kind of walking past you, you're getting close to the job board as the job board's about 30-40 feet away from the bakery that you walked by earlier. And she's walking by the same bakery, and as you see her, she just kind of like walks up right next to the bakery, kind of like takes a quick look to the side before just her hand just drops. And she finishes walking by the bakery, and as she gets about 10 feet from it and about 25 feet from you, she kind of like looks up, makes eye contact with you, and gives a quick wink as she just raises like a pastry up to her mouth and just takes a bite of it.
Friggin' perfect. Casually, just wink wonk. Okay. Sorry.
Holly.
And she's just walking on her own way. Not going towards the job board or anything like that, right?
She kind of takes like a look at the job board as she walks past, kind of slowing down a little bit. She does.
Okay. Then in response to the wink, Arwynn would probably like smirk a little bit and nod and observe the job board.
As you look at the job board, most of the things on it don't seem like they're pretty well suited to you. There's some like advertising how you can join the army, some advertising how you can join the local guards and things like that. Some advertising for like different positions on ships. A lot of it is like requires experience. Like there's one ship looking for a first mate, a couple ships looking for navigators, a couple ships looking for like chefs and things like that. One or two of them looking for like experienced riggers to work on like the sails and everything. Aside from that, there is not much else. There's a blank spot on the board where it looks like a page might have been ripped off of it just recently, but other than that, yeah, that is all that's on the job board currently.
Doesn't seem very promising, which is unfortunate. Anything else?
Not particularly, not on this job board.
Alright, time to move on. Which means setting up shop somewhere and hustling all day.
Alright, so where would you like to set up shop?
Is there like a particular stall or store where people are congregating outside at all?
I would say there's a couple on like the very end of a row of stalls, kind of right next to where one of the entrances are to like the grand marketplace here.
Mm-hmm.
The last stall is like sells like food and is kind of just drawing people to it because they're like currently like grilling and stewing like a lot of like meats and stuff that are sort of just producing like a really nice aroma into everything. And the store kind of directly to the to like catty corner them, like, so if the stall is here and the store is like here, running like this way. The store sells all sorts of like jewelry. Some of it they claim to be enchanted, and while that is expensive, it's drawing a lot of people to window shop there because a lot of the pieces are very pretty. But if you would like, there's a space to kind of set up in the corner, sort of in between the two.
That is, in fact, where I'm going to set up for the day. And why? Okay, well, that's where I'll be for the day.
Alright, so you set up shop, you draw in a couple of people. To see how well you do, make a sleight of hand check.
That's better. That's 21.
21? Alright, I'll say you managed to pull in. What game are you playing here?
I'm imagining something with dice. What's the... Oh my god, do you know in Pirates of the Caribbean they played that game with the cups and the dice?
No.
Well...
Are they like trying to find what cup has the dice in it, or are they...
No, they're trying to like actually play to see who rolls higher, I think.
Got you. So like you're each taking 2 dice and you're kind of seeing who can roll higher than the other person for a bet.
Mm-hmm. But it's done like under whatever, doesn't matter.
But it's done like under a cup, so you don't get to see what the rolls are right away.
Yeah.
Alright, so I'll say you're doing that. Are you cheating or are you...
I'm cheating. But the way it is you don't know what's under your cup, except I do. And you bet based on how well you think you did.
Gotcha. In what manner are you cheating?
In what matter?
Yeah, you using like loaded dice or...
Loaded dice, for sure.
Got it. So you're just like using like loaded 6-sided dice, so they almost always roll a 6.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so you're doing pretty well. I say you managed to pull in, let's say, 6 silver, 8 copper over the course of the day so far. You're kind of getting close to the like afternoon here. Sun's just about perfectly overhead in the sky. Before seems like there's like 2 sailors that kind of walk by. One of them kind of sees your stall and kind of like smirks to his buddy. It seems like they've already imbibed in the drink despite it being so early in the day. Comes over and is willing to make a bet against you.
Oh. All right,
Yeah,
let's play.
Is willing to play. So I will say for the purpose of this game, take 2d6s for me. And you're just going to roll them. We're going to see who rolls higher, and that will depend on the winnings. He bets you 1 gold piece that he will win.
Which is equivalent to
10 silver.
10 silver?
Yes. Do you have any gold on you?
I think so. Oh my goodness, where would it be listed? I can't even find it. I don't think I do. No, probably not. If I do, I can't find it.
Regardless, he would make the bet against you. He would say, bet 1 gold piece that I can win. You knowing that you only have to cough this up if you lose, can take the bet or not take the bet. It's just up to you.
I'm going to take the bet.
Alright, so we roll 2d6s to see who gets higher. Do not, you can roll kind of close to the screen so I do not see it.
I'm going to just move my bag, that's all.
Alright, so he has his roll. If you would like to cheat, I will need a sleight of hand check. If you cheat, I will let you re-roll however many of your dice that you want to kind of like simulate the fact that they're loaded.
Okay.
So would you like to cheat?
Yes, I would like to cheat.
Alright, make a sleight of hand check.
Oh, that's no, it's a 13.
13?
Yeah.
So he rolls first perception. That is a natural 3, so he does not seem to notice in his inebriated state. So he may re-roll
both my dice. Much better.
Alright, so he lifts up his cup, having rolled a 4 and a 1.
I rolled a 6 and a 3.
6 and a 3. Alright, so you win. You kind of reach across, take his gold piece. As you go to retract your hand, he sort of like slams down his hand on your wrist, kind of pinning it to the table that you have it on. You see this bitch? I think this bitch is cheating.
No, you're thinking wrong.
Oh, really? You want to bet about that?
That's what I do.
Reaches to his side. You see he has a short sword on his hip as he kind of like grips the handle of it, and he's like, I'll cut that smart little mouth of yours right up.
I pull a dagger off my hip and slash him across the face.
Okay, make an attack roll.
Just across the cheek, just a little bit. That's a 15.
That'll hit. Roll damage. 24 plus your dex mod.
Ooh, where did I put my d4s? There they are. That's a 4. Plus 3, so it's 7.
Okay. So you maybe miscalculate a bit as you go to swing, just a gentle slash across the cheek. As you did do like over half of his hit points worth of damage in one slash.
Oh.
So you kind of miss the cheek a bit and kind of cut all along the jaw, down across some of the neck, and even bring it through some of his shoulder down. As soon as you do it, there's just blood splatter immediately on the table, kind of on the ground next to him, as well as all over his clothes now as he kind of like stumbles back a bit, kind of grabbing his face to staunch the bleeding that is just going, like staining his clothes crimson immediately.
I'm out.
Before you even can, because you're currently sitting behind a table, as to one side of the table, his friend is now like scimitar drawn, kind of just like pointing it directly at you. He kind of draws his sword and is holding it and is kind of like guarding your escape. You're in a pretty tight space. It'd be the equivalent of sitting in this corner and having a hulking guy standing right there and a hulking guy standing right here.
Okay.
So as you're kind of like sitting there for a second, do you still immediately just trying to like up and over the table to either side of them? Just kind of like surveying your options for a moment.
Can I get up on the table with both daggers drawn in an intimidating stance as I back away?
You can certainly try. Make an intimidation check.
Whoops, dropped it. Okay. That's a 15.
You kind of like stare them down, all three of you just glaring at each other. Before you hear a voice from behind one of the men. Awfully early in the day to be having this much fun, isn't it? You kind of peek over one of their shoulders and you see a slightly familiar bobbing blonde hair kind of strolling towards you, eventually making her way to the side of one of the men. Men are about in between 5'10" and 6 foot, but at like 5'7", 5'8", she's able to reach up and put her arm on one of their shoulders. It is the girl from earlier who winked at you and stole the croissant from the same place that you stole
And
your
now I'm damaging her
things
goods.
from.
Awesome. Oops.
But she kind of like takes a look at the two of them, takes a look at you, looks back at the two of them, sees the guy holding his bleeding face, and just sort of smirks. So, what seems to be going on here?
Oh, he lost a bet, and he's a little bitter about it.
Oh, did you? Well, did he pay up?
Oh, absolutely. After a bit.
Well, that's good. That's the important thing. It's important to honor your bet, boys. Kind of like wags a finger at the two of them. The one who she's like has a shoulder on just sort of like shrugs off and kind of takes a step closer to his buddy, sort of like allowing her to kind of like posture in between a bit. And she sees the face and just goes, shaving Nick, you should probably take better care of that. You know, those razors can be a handful to handle. Just like, guy just sort of like incredulously staring at her, just like, this fucking bitch cut me. Kind of turns to you. Is that true?
Absolutely.
I'm sure there was a good reason. Was there a good reason?
He was going to chop my arm off.
Oh, see, you can't just chop people's arm off every time you lose a bet. See, no, I'm really sure that whatever your situation here is, this can be handled in a very diplomatic manner. After all, I'm sure your captain would not want to hear about you doing such things as sneaking off to get drunk in what is practically still the middle of the morning when you should be on your ships doing work and other things like that. Not to mention the trouble you're going to get in and the terrible reputation you're going to bring to your ship as well. Finally, the guy who's just holding it just goes, enough. Fuck. Let's get the fuck out of here. And just kind of sort of tags his buddy along, just sort of still like holding his thing, kind of throws a glare back at you, but both of them sheathing their short sword and scimitar as respectively, and kind of like walk off, sort of kind of put off by the presence of you two, and clearly wanting to cut their losses while they can.
Fair enough. Who are you?
That's a good question. Who are you?
Also a good question, but I asked first.
Fair enough. My name's Luna. I live around here. Well, I don't live around here, but I do my best to kind of, keep an eye out for things. Keep an eye out for people, especially like us.
Like us. I got you. I respect that. Extends a hand.
She extends one back, kind of shakes it, and then immediately pulls you into a hug.
Yay! Freaking loves hugs. Automatically hugs back.
Still though, swindling, she kind of like steps up to your table. Swindling drunk sailors this early in the morning is a recipe to get yourself in trouble, especially when they're Hume ones at that. She kind of picks up your dice, sort of just before rolling them on the table, double sixes. She's like, nice dice.
Thanks, made them myself.
Very crafty. So, I know a lot of the Ferrex around here, but I don't typically see you around here. Do you somehow manage to not live in Dusttown?
I somehow managed to keep my nose out of trouble, just enough to fly under the radar.
Interesting. So you do typically stay around here?
Yeah, I kind of bum it underneath of different... that's not what I say. I stay I stay wherever I can. And... sorry.
That's fair enough. It must be tough, though, not being able to have, like, a bed or something every night, or...
You get used to it after a few years.
I'm guessing you don't have a steady job then or anything?
Not exactly. This is it.
Any special skills?
I'm a hell of a whiz with a lockpick.
That's certainly nice. But I meant like any sort of, glass blowing, leather making, armor crafting, any magic or anything?
A bit?
A bit of...
magic? I believe, right? No, that's just chill touch.
That's still magic.
What?
That's still magic.
I thought it was a thing that was just a trait of Ferox.
A trait of yours.
Oh, I got you.
Not of everyone's.
A bit of magic.
She kind of like is a little bit wide-eyed at that. Really?
Yeah.
Oh. Well, then what the hell are you doing at bumming it here? You could be, if you're good enough at it, you could be living it up at the academy with stuff like that.
I'm not good enough to get to the academy.
Everyone says that before they go to the academy.
I know one spell.
Still one more than I know.
Valid point, but still.
Might be worth a chat or something. Have you ever talked about anyone about going to the academy? Do you like magic?
Absolutely.
Well, then you should talk to them. Maybe they'll let you in.
I really don't think so. Mostly because of the race. I didn't say that in character. Sorry.
Oh, that's out of character.
Yeah. He would say, I really don't think so. And then I said, mostly because of the race.
Yeah. Well, you never know. I actually, I have a friend or two that attend it that might be able to help a little bit if you were at least interested on finding out more.
I'd like to learn a bit more about that.
All right, then let's go. I don't have anything better to do today, and well, you've already provided me my morning entertainment, so it's the least I can do.
Glad I could be of service.
Yeah.
Let's go.
And plus, you've also supplied lunch.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. Can I have one of those ham croissants that I saw you swipe earlier?
Pulls it out of his pocket and hands it to her.
She like is just shit-eating grin as she takes a bite of it. Nice work on that, by the way.
Thank you. I do my best.
So the two of you make your way out of the merchant district, approaching, kind of just winding through the streets, getting closer to where you know the entrance of the noble district is. But as you are walking, is there anything that you would like to do? Anything you would like to talk about?
I should definitely ask her. Like, hey, who are you, by the way? Like, what do you do around here?
Oh, well, I mean, I already told you. My name's Luna.
But I got that part.
Yeah, I do some odd jobs and stuff. You know, some protective work where it's needed. Some guard work where it's needed. Some bounty work where it's needed. But yeah, when I'm not doing that, I mostly just hang around and kind of enjoy stuff and, you know, make sure I'm sticking up for whatever people need to be stuck up for. And yeah, that's about it.
Got you. Sounds like a decent living.
It's not too bad. And I mean, you know, I have myself a nice room that I get to stay at well, at what I think is the nicest inn in this town, but still, it's not too bad of a life.
Not a bad gig. Good for you.
Gets expensive sometimes, but what are you gonna do?
He
shrugs.
Kind of nods and drifts back off into awkward silence. That's how his conversations go.
Alright, so you two eventually find your way to the gates of the Noble District. Most people aren't just allowed to walk in to the Noble District. It is where, like, the palace, where all the government is located, where the Mage Academy is located, and you typically have to have a reason to go in, whether it's because you live there, or because, like, you work for a family there, or because you're attending the Mage Academy, but, like, some sort of concrete, documented, that's English, documented reason that you can hand over and be like, this is why I'm here, kind of thing.
Gotcha.
But as you approach the gates, there is a guard there from kind of like the private security of Baldur's Gate, the Flaming Fist, which is run by one of the councilmen, one of the 4 councilmen that rule Baldur's Gate. Sort of standing there and kind of like stops you too as you approach. After he stops you, is just, all right. Do you have business in the district?
Looks at her.
She's like, yeah, actually, we were hoping to maybe talk to someone from the Mage Academy about, you know, possible maybe enrollment for someone who's possibly good at magic. Kind of is gesturing to you, and he kind of like looks back and forth and goes, really? Kind of like takes a second, the gender wheels in his head turning up, down, up. You're referring to them that are good at magic, then? Completely undecided. She's like kind of nods and kind of like looks to you.
does one of these.
So at this point, he is just, well, I suppose that is, well enough. There is actually currently a prefect on duty out and about in town that, you could possibly talk to. Said I'm not sure where she is at the moment. I know she had to, leave her post to go, track down something, so, when she returns, I can ask her to, just get in contact with you, as mages are. She's very good at getting a hold of people when she needs to. Where exactly are you two staying that, we would be able to reach you? She kind of turns to you for a second before, like, a flash of, like, realization comes through her eyes, and she's like, we're staying at the suites. We're both staying at the suites. Same room. And just, alright, I will make sure to send a messenger there when she returns, so that, she can contact you about information about the Mage Academy for the two of you, or just you, that is, rather. Kind of is, like, eyeing you a little bit suspiciously,
Kind
like,
of smirking at this point.
every, like, maybe 10 or 15 seconds, just his eyes just up to your ears and then, like, back down, or, like, down to your tail and then back up.
Wiggles them a little bit.
Luna notices and also smirks, but he seems unimpressed to say, and he's like, alright, well, if you don't have any further business here, I would ask you let me get back to my job and return to not the Noble District.
As you wish. Turns on his heel.
Luna walks off with you as well. She kind of just shrugs as she's walking, and she's like, well, I don't think either of my friends were on duty today, but oh well, hopefully we can at least at least get you to talk to someone. And at that point I can kind of name drop that I know the people, so it still might work out.
Alright. But you are aware that I kind of free float.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. But I hope you're aware that the place that I told them that we had a room at, I do actually have a room at, so we can just chill there for the day maybe.
Is that okay with you?
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty big room, and I mean, alright, so there might have been slightly another reason why I approached you specifically today.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I've, like, seen you around before, just here and there. You typically, doing your thing, taking stuff from the people who maybe deserve to have stuff taken from them, and not taking stuff from people who don't deserve to have stuff taken from them. Like the books that you always make sure to return in perfect condition, and drunk sailors who are assholes who aren't going to be missing a gold or two. So, I definitely respect that, and as I said, living in the city is still expensive some of the time, and I also know that you probably haven't had the easiest time in life. So I was wondering if maybe we found a job or two for you to do. Maybe you and I could split a room at that place. It'd make it cheaper on me, which is my selfish reasoning for it, but also it'd probably make your life a little bit easier to do stuff.
He thinks about it for a minute. Because he's used to just being on his own, not around other people, unless he's, like, swindling them. So, being with someone he could presumably trust, he was, like, weird.
After, like, a couple minutes of silence, she's like, and as she's still, like, walking, you're kind of, like, out of, like, where the Noble District is at this point, kind of reapproaching the Merchant District, getting close to where the Dust Town entrance is. She finally pipes up with, it's 'cause, well, I was kind of friends with them. Your brothers, that is.
Alright, so I guess we're gonna be splitting a room at this place.
They talked about you a lot.
What? Where are they? Are they still in jail? What happened?
That's something I've been looking into for quite a while now that I unfortunately have not been able to find very many answers to. I know they were arrested for some bullshit thing that happened. They visited them at jail a couple of times, and then they said they moved them to a different sort of prison place in the Noble District that I couldn't visit them at anymore. And the one time that I pulled a few strings from my friends at the Mage Academy and told them to go visit them and make sure they were alright, they were apparently nowhere to be found at the place, so I'm not sure what happened. The entire thing just feels bad. I don't like it.
He falls kind of back into silence, kind of processing that. Thank you.
What are friends for?
Does one of those. What?
Does he say that out loud?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. And she kind of like scratches the back of her head and continues walking.
I don't have any of those. I haven't had one of those in so long.
Still in character? Is it still in character?
Oh, good question. Probably not in that tone of voice, but yes. I haven't had one of those in a long time.
Well, they can be good to have if they're good friends, and certainly hard to come by for in a city like this.
At the very least, allies.
Fair enough. Well, without further ado, this is I guess our new bunking spot. This is the suites. You would be familiar enough with well, actually no, you spend most of your time on the docks. You would still know what the suites is though. It is a tavern. Is SWEETS, like sugary sweets. That is called such because the sign that hangs from the front of it, somebody mispainted. So instead of painting it as the Desert Lotus Tavern, it is the Dessert Lotus Tavern. Somebody added an extra S into the first word. So that is why a lot of people who frequent it affectionately refer to it as the Sweets due to the mishap that no one ever bothered to fix. But yeah, she heads in, kind of gives a quick wave to the woman behind the bar. The woman behind the bar is also a ferox. She has elk antlers that kind of like come up and out a little bit with like 3 little sprongs branching off of each thing. Seems to be hard at work back there, trying like serving both drinks and also doing paperwork as she does it. Seems to be multitasking fairly well. But Luna leads you to a downstairs room where she pulls out a ring, like a key, opens up the door, sort of throws it open to go inside, and it's just it's very basic, kind of like a threadbare carpet, kind of sitting like maybe 5-10 feet in front. The whole room is maybe only 15 by 15 feet. There's like a queen bed that's like not ratty, but not like luxurious, kind of like somewhere in between. Just like wooden bedposts coming up. The mattress looks comfy enough. The blanket looks comfy enough. A couple belongings in the corner, and like an armoire / like dresser thing kind of going on in the corner. It's sort of like sitting catty cornered to the wall there. The only other thing you notice is like a washroom off to the left that's sort of like blocked off from the rest of it that you can use without having to be in view of the rest of the room rather. Sorry. As well as a greatsword, a very large greatsword, kind of like leaned up in the like far corner of the room, that appears to be made of some kind of like combination of stone and metal. It's got a pretty thick handle on it. The handle has like a guard that comes over it that blocks your hand, and then it is about 4.5-5 feet long, with a pointed blade at the top, but also kind of like a semicircle blade that sort of comes like this for like about the top 8 inches of the blade too. So it's just kind of like, it is like a huge monstrosity of a weapon.
Points at it. What is that?
Oh, That's my that's what I use to help me get a lot of my jobs done with.
Does she have a name? As in, what is it?
The weapon it classifies as technically is a greatsword.
Okay.
She's like, the person from I got it from just called it the rune blade, and that's about it. Just RUNE blade. But yeah, she's pretty solid. She certainly hasn't ever let me down yet, so.
Solid rock. Sorry. Nods in approval.
Yeah, so I don't know if you have any stuff to set down or whatever.
No. Arwynn travels light. Pretty much everything is in her pockets.
Alright, very good. So with that, she'd kind of sit down on the bed for a second. Kind of just like taking a moment to kind of take everything in and relax. If there's anything you want to say, you can. But if not...
I don't think there is.
If not, then she'll eventually pop up, walk over to the corner of the room where her weapon is, kind of lift it up in her hands. Seems kind of light in her hands, actually. She kind of just like is holding it like one-handed. Kind of takes like a couple with it before slipping it into like a holder on her back, and then just kind of like walks up to you, still like on the edge of the room, just like, so you wanna see what kind of trouble we can drum up today?
Grins in approval. Absolutely.
Well, in that case, no need to sit around and wait for this messenger to show up. Might as well get some stuff done in the meantime. And so she leads you back out of the bar and or the tavern rather, back out into Dusttown. Dusttown itself is kind of interesting. It is a lot of either people who don't have the means to, or mainly like a lot of the lesser thought of races kind of live here. So a lot of the Ferox, half-orcs, tieflings, Ganassi, things like that kind of live around here. It's where your old home used to be, though your old home was kind of like on the other side of this dust town, so you aren't like perfectly familiar with like this specific area, but you're familiar enough, and you've also been out of it for so long that some parts of it feel new. But you still like there's a little bit of like hominess in the feel of like all the hodgepodge patchwork like ramshackle wooden buildings that make up this area of Baldur's Gate. But as you are just kind of like walking around, she kind of like looks over and is we could stop by the board if you want. That some of the jobs that I take on at least are normally posted at. Might be good for a look.
You seem like the type of person who does jobs that are way out of my league. Sure, let's try.
Alright, sounds good. So you're strolling up, going back towards the gate where the lower part of the city meets Dust Town, and get maybe about make sure I'm on track here. Yes. Kind of like on your way there, you sort of hear what starts out as like some muffled voices that kind of eventually turn into some not full-on yelling, but some loud raised voices coming from an alleyway, sort of in between two buildings that are positioned pretty close together. You can like see the board from here only maybe about 60 feet in front of you. The gates are about 80 feet in front of you. And as you kind of get closer, you can kind of like look over and kind of see one person sort of like standing at like the mouth of this alley, sort of just like looking into it, kind of arms crossed, wearing a black cloak that extends almost all the way to the ground.
Can I hear what's going on in the alley from this distance?
It just now sounds like voices. You'd have to get a little bit closer to do that.
I'm gonna elbow Luna a little bit. It's Luna, right?
Yes.
Cool. I thought I misheard it. I elbow Luna a little bit. Be like, hey.
Yeah, she kind of like had her eyes like flashing over there already, so after you elbow her, she kind of like nods and you start to approach, kind of crossing to the other side of this road. Now only 25, 20, 15, 10 feet away from like the opening of this alley. At this point, you're kind of equal enough with it that you can kind of like peek in and see it. It's only about 6 or 7 feet wide. But you hear a voice on the other side of the figure who's kind of got his arms crossed. Just say, come on, we don't want any trouble. All you have to do is lay down your belongings, lay down your money, and walk out of this alley like nothing ever happened. There doesn't need to be any violence that happens today. Why, that's the very, like, last of our desires, if anything. You can see, like, the person who is, like, got his arms crossed in front, like, kind of just, like, shakes a little bit, maybe with laughter, but just kind of notice them shaking. Before you hear a, another voice just go, I don't have much. I'm not even worth it. And not only that, but what I do have, I need. I'm sorry. I'm going to need to ask you to step out of my way. Before the first voice returns again. Oh, I really wish you wouldn't make this like that. I do see that you are armed, but at the same time, I'm also able to do math until the 4 of us against 1 of you is probably not going to go very well for you, friend. Now just lay down your things and we'll let you go. We can just forget this whole bad traumatic day even happened and start fresh. How does that sound? What are you doing? Luna at this point is already like hand on handle, kind of like sizing up the guy standing there and just sort of like looks over at you. Kind of gives you a
Kind of nods after thinking about it for like a hot second.
Alright, she just kind of like pulls you in close. The guy's like standing in the dead center of the mouth of the alley, but there's still like obviously like 3 feet of space to his right, 3 feet of space to his left. And Luna just kind of like points towards the one on the right and points to you. And kind of points to herself and points to the one on the left. She's like, I'm gonna stage whisper here because I don't want to actually make this impossible for you to hear, but she kind of like leans over to you and just, alright, you go under that way. I'll go under this way. And once we're in the center of the alley, we can find whatever is going on and kind of make our move from there.
Okay.
Alright, sounds good. Let's go. She, yes, also takes off. Just for role-playing purposes, roll me an acrobatics check as you do this. It should go pretty well for you. I think you might be good at acrobatics.
I'm hoping. I think I am good at acrobatics. Natural 20.
Doesn't matter.
Who cares?
How can I reward you for that? You haven't drawn any weapons yet, but I'll say kind of like seeing your opportunity just based on how this man is standing, you kind of let Luna take a little bit of like maybe a 1 or 2 step lead on this, and after she gets through, he kind of like looks over, and as he like goes to reach, you slide directly underneath like one leg out, other leg like tucked underneath of you, just directly underneath his legs, sort of flaring out both elbows to catch him like right on the back of both kneecaps as he just sort of buckles and then falls backwards, just landing on his ass, now just sitting at the mouth of this alley. Luna sees this happen and just kind of like, you just like see the smirk as she just like quick like turns away seeing this happen. But you pop right back up and sort of make your way into the rest of this alley. You see in order, this alley is about probably 40 feet long. You two are about 10 feet inside of it. About 5 feet in front of you is a ferox man. He has a wolf ferox. He has wolf-like ears as well as a tail coming out. He has a long, very long, thin, curved blade on one side of his hip. The other side of the hip is the same kind of long, or the same kind of like thin, curved blade, but this one is only about this long. He is taller than both of you, probably about 6 feet tall. Dirty blonde, kind of like short, shaggy type hair. He's got on like brown trousers, brown boots, and like a loose like white shirt, like a white tunic, long sleeved, with kind of a like a sleeveless vest over top of that. The sleeveless vest is like kind of a mix of like browns and yellows. And as he hears like what's going on behind him, he turns towards like the two of you. He has like very piercing green eyes as he like looks at both of you over, kind of like confused as to your presence, but then like snaps back to the threat in front of him. There is, with his hood down, a tiefling man with light blue skin, kind of horns curved around, standing about 10 feet in front of him, kind of now with like a sneer on his face as he's looking over the three of you, wearing the same black cloak that the first man at the head of the alley was. And then behind him are two more men, like the one who was blocking the one end of the alley, sort of like this at the other end of the alley. Sort of seems like they were kind of like forcing him to stand in here, kind of like got him trapped where they wanted him, and sort of were making off with their business. But as you kind of like sit up and survey the situation, the tiefling man is just, "Oh, well, isn't this cute? You brought back up. So, will there be 3 robberies tonight, or should I mark that down as 3 murders?" Kind of looking over all of you.
Is 3 what?
He looks at all of you and says, "Should I mark that down as 3 robberies tonight or 3 murders?"
Murders. Sorry, I just couldn't hear the last word. Maybe consider it 4 murders, that is.
With that, Luna just like looks over at you and just goes, "We doing this?" Kind of like the Wolfman kind of like looks back at you and just goes, "Terribly sorry to get you involved in this. Well, you kind of got yourself involved in this, but I can't really afford to give them what I have, so well, that's how I'm taking this at least." And he draws both swords out, kind of. You're now able to see it is like a katana that he is holding, extended out in one hand. Not like a full-size katana, but like a 3/4 size katana, with like a short kind of like dagger version of it, kind of like almost like a katana version of like a parrying dagger, in his opposite hand as he holds it out and kind of points at the tiefling man, keeping the other one like down like this as he's still like kind of turned diagonally, making sure he can keep eyes on the thug that is still sitting on the ground. With that, Luna also unsheathes her greatsword and is kind of like standing there, just kind of like glaring at this tiefling. "What are you doing?"
Half of me wants to say on 3, bolt for the exit, because there's only one guy that way.
Do you say that?
Yeah.
Say on 3, bolt for the exit?
Mm-hmm.
Do you say that out loud?
No. It's more like I'm looking at Luna, but like glancing that way towards the exit.
Alright, well, seeing the other two pull his weapons already, the tiefling man just sort of like kind of laughs very dryly to himself before. "Very well, I do not suppose anyone is going to mind having 3 less of your kind in the city anyway." Kind of takes 2 steps back. The other 2 members behind him take 2 steps forward, kind of like passing him a little bit as he stands in the back. They both from their backs draw heavy crossbows that are now trained on all of you. At this point, if you want it to run, there's kind of like too much going on, so I'm going to have to ask you to roll initiative.
Okay.
You can still attempt to run after initiative, but with everything
That's
happening.
2.
Oh man,
That's 5.
what a time for your first bad roll of the night. That's alright, they did not roll very well either. That's really funny.
What is?
The highest initiative roll between NPCs, enemies, and you alike was 9.
Oh, wow. That sucks.
So now the order of everything. All right. So top of the round, it is going to be the mysterious victim, almost victim of this robbery first. Before, because he didn't really see you nod for anything before they can even fire, he charges about 15 feet forward straight for one of the ones holding the crossbow. He is going to make a strike at them. That'll definitely hit. Doing 6 points of damage. See if the dagger hits. The dagger also hits. Dealing 3 points of damage. Still standing, but looking rough. He dashes straight forward, and before the other one can fully even like comprehend what's going on, kind of slashes with the katana, sort of brings it down like right across like the arm here, kind of like almost carving a piece off of the arm. And as it drops, he kind of then brings like the dagger up and sort of slashes like straight across like the stomach. The thug sort of like falls back a step. At this point, like the crossbow kind of like dangling like uselessly to his side as that arm is kind of like ruined, and he's trying to like hold in the blood from the cut on his stomach with his other arm, now sort of just like glaring at this mystery attacker. After that is going to be Luna. Luna is going to kind of notice you give like the let's get out of here let's get out of here signal. But will she follow it?
Probably not.
She looks at you and goes, better idea. I'll get that one. She signals back towards like the entrance, and you help our friend. And so she goes after him. The entrance, who is sitting. Advantage on the attack because he is currently knocked prone from when you knocked him off his feet. Oh, that is a natural 20.
Nice.
All right, that's gonna do some damage. Yeah. Ooh, yeah, that's gonna do it. That is 7 damage, doubled to 14, plus 3 is 17. Yeah, so with him, he's sort of like struggling to get back up to his feet while he's still like kind of like crouching as he's like slowly coming back. She just sort of like swings directly at like his torso. He kind of like stretches to get out, like tries to throw himself to the side out of the way, but it kind of catches him right above rib height. And she just full on with this blade, it passes through him like butter, just cleaves him in half. She just two-hand brings it down through him. The blade comes to rest on like the dirt there. The lower half of his body still laying where it was, and the upper half of his body just kind of like sailing a little bit from where he threw his momentum and just sort of like coming to a stop, kind of against the side of this alley, the building of it.
Ew.
Yeah.
Says Arwynn. Turns and goes and gets this other guy.
All right. Well, with that, we bring it to the thug's turn.
Ah, damn.
The one of them is going to kind of let go of his stomach long enough to pull a scimitar and try and swing it at the mystery person here. That will hit. That will deal 2 points of slashing damage. Sort of kind of like catches him along along like one of the shoulders, but doesn't seem to find like much purchase. Maybe only gets like a half inch deep with his cut, so it's just kind of like bleeding a little bit, but it's not anything that's life threatening by any means. Now kind of scared of the one that just carved one of his compatriots in half. The other one is going to train his crossbow at you. Fire.
And fire? Shoot.
Yes. That is going to be an 11 to hit.
Nope.
Alright, so he fires. You're able to kind of duck out of the way quick as you hear just the thump of the bolt embed itself in the wood of the building, one of the buildings that you are standing next to. With that does bring it to your turn.
Awesome. So I'm gonna dash at the guy that just tried to shoot me. Is Chill Touch a cantrip?
Yes.
Thought so. +3.
Yeah, with Chill Touch, you should be.
It's 1d8, but I don't know if I want to do that or. No, I'm gonna try it.
Gonna try it?
Can I try using Chill Touch on this guy?
Yes. Which one? The one that has already been hurt, or the one that just fired at you?
The one that just fired
at me. Okay.
Yeah. That's a 19.
Yeah, that's certainly going to hit. Alright, let me just make sure I got everything with the spell working.
Take your time.
Yes. And you don't just have to, it's not a touch one either. Standing from where you are, you conjure a ghostly skeletal hand in the space of a creature within range. They take necrotic damage, can't do hit points till the end of its next turn. So yeah, you do one, that'll definitely hit, so roll the d8.
That's a 4.
Alright, so kind of standing where you are, you sort of like concentrate like you've done like a couple times, well, as you've practiced like many times before. And this ghostly kind of like see-through hand just sort of like reaches up from the ground in front of him. His eyes kind of go wide for a second, and it just sort of like wraps itself around him before just around his torso. It doesn't seem to like actually like condense his body at all, but as soon as it does that, the entire like hand just vanishes and kind of like we'll take a hard cut there.
That's the loudest I've ever heard.
Ow.
I'm sorry.
I'm hungry.
Same.
How much do we have left?
Not too much.
Awesome.
We're approaching the end. How long was that filming session?
That was about 40 minutes. I didn't really like cut the recording though. You can pick it up like from that sentence.
Cool, that's fine.
To the other shot of you.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll pick it up right from there. I just knew that was going to kind of ruin things.
Let's go.
So start from describing the spell. So, and after it kind of wraps around him, it closes suddenly, not really condensing his body at all, but as soon as it does, the magic sort of shoots up into like the fingers where around his chest and then vanishes. And as it does, you kind of see him like physically kind of recoil and give like a cough into his hand before just like looking up wide-eyed at you still with like a bit of blood kind of now trickling out of his mouth just from the necrotic forces of this spell.
Wild-eyed grin. Absolutely proud of himself that he just did that.
With that, we're moving back to the mysterious swordsman. He is going to take another swing at the one he already damaged. Will miss with the katana. Let's try again with the dagger. Will hit with the dagger. And 3 points of damage is enough, so he kind of like goes to swing. The sword kind of catches it on the other person's scimitar. They're able to sort of like parry it off. But then with the dagger kind of like flips it around, holding it standard, stabs it straight through the man's stomach. He just sort of like gasps as it enters him, and then quickly like pulls it out. The man now struggling to hold all of the blood into himself, just falls to the ground unconscious. With that is going to bring us to Luna's turn. Luna can't reach that other one with anything that she has, so I think she's just going to use her movement and then use her action to dash so she can come up into combat range with the one that you've already hurt. And that's going to be her whole turn.
Okay.
Starting at this turn, the tiefling man at this point has kind of taken a couple steps back, like away from the kind of out of the alley to the point where he's standing about 5 feet in the opposite street now, on the opposite side. Kind of realizing this turning south very quickly. The other thug is just going to, now having someone in his space, going to attempt to slash at a. Guess I'll attempt. Actually. No, the other guard is just going to. The other thug is just going to attempt to flee the situation, causing Luna to get an opportunity attack at least, which she hits. This one is not a critical, so she's only dealing standard damage. That is just enough. So he goes to turn and sort of like stumbles for a second, kind of grabbing his chest, the area where you made your impact with your skeletal necrotic hand. And that's all the time that she needs, is she just sort of cuts right across his back, cutting from shoulder blade to hip in the matter of like a second, about 3-4 inches deep, as he just kind of like stumbles forward once more as soon as that from the impact, and then kind of falls to the ground, his legs unable to hold him. The tiefling backs up about 5 or 10 more feet, now standing in the center of that street, and just goes, "Right, well, as entertaining as this has been, I believe that is about all the time that I have for today, but you can be sure that the guild will certainly remember this before booking."
Pussy.
Luna like takes a step after him for a second, but a hand comes out from the mysterious swordsman, kind of like grabbing her and just kind of like shakes his head. Not worth it. It's not worth it at this point. Just be glad things ended as they did.
Arwynn's hype now. What's the guild? Who was that? What's going on? Who are you?
So, you would know the guild as, at least from what you remember, the guild was like a thieves guild, like a criminals guild that kind of ran the underworld of Baldur's Gate as well as Dust Town. When you left, that's kind of what they did, though. That's like all you know about it for now. But turning to you, Luna, would be you. Well, you know like what they do, right? Like what they run.
Vaguely.
Right. I forgot you. I guess you haven't been in Dust Town for a while now. So they've gotten really powerful in the last couple of years, to the point where any organized criminal activity in the entire city runs through them. Like if there might be another gang, but that gang has the blessing of the guild. Everything that runs through criminalized activity either has the blessing of the guild or dies. So they're as far as criminals go, they're pretty much it. They have quite a number of powerful people in their ranks, as well as some people even theorize some powerful political pawns in their pocket as well. The mysterious swordsman just kind of nods. Not exactly the best enemies to make, but it didn't appear that it could be helped. Again, thank you both for rushing in to help me. You had absolutely no reason to risk yourselves on my behalf, but I still appreciate it, certainly. Bows to both of you.
Doesn't know why he's bowing. Kind of like cocks his head and looks at him.
Oh, apologies. I don't know either of your names. to thank you properly.
Well, we don't know yours either.
Fair enough. I am Takayuki. Takaya.
K-A?
Takaya. You. Yeah, you. Yuki. Takayuki.
I'm Arwynn.
Yeah. Luna introduces herself as well. Just bows to you again. Pleasure to meet you both. Thank you again for your very timely intervention. I'm afraid that would have been significantly more difficult had it been just me.
Fair enough, there were 4 of them. What did you do to get yourself into this mix, anyway?
Simply strolled down this alley. Wrong place, wrong time, it would seem.
That's unfortunate.
Such is the way of living in this part of town, and such is certainly the way of being someone with as little status as I do.
Fair enough. I understand.
I apologize that I do not have anything to properly reward you with, but still, you have my thanks.
No problem. Get out of here.
Yeah, kind of bows again and takes his leave. Luna just kind of turns towards you. Well, not really the trouble that I was planning for us to get into, but, hey, I mean, I guess it works.
And I didn't have to kill anybody.
Yeah, true. That was just us.
Smile.
Oh, well, I guess probably just leave these guys here. I don't think anyone is going to miss a bunch of lifelong criminals too much.
Probably not.
As you two begin to stroll towards the end of the alley that you originally entered, there is a figure standing at the end of the alley now, though.
Oh, good.
Yes. You see a woman. She has on, like, a black and gold robe that you recognize as that of the style of the Mage Academy, though it seems significantly nicer than the standard robes that you've seen on people walking about here and there. In her arm, she also holds one of the hats that they have there. The hat has like a silver band around, kind of like the stem of it about here, that has a brilliant yellow topaz set into it. She also has a kind of like a crystal ball about yay big set in a holder attached to her hip. Aside from that, she has really just like warm, like amber honey brown colored eyes that just kind of seem to swim in the sunlight. Her complexion is dark, like a cross between like really, really dark caramel and kind of chocolate with like the very barest hints of like purple undertone. And her hair is kind of put like braided, and then the braids put up into a knot on her head. Her hair is like jet black, with some highlights of blonde that sort of get accented when they're pulled up into the braid here. But yeah, she's just kind of like leaning against the wall of one of the buildings of the alleyway, just kind of like surveying the two of you as you approach. Do you continue walking towards her?
Yeah, but I fall back a couple of steps behind Luna.
As Luna kind of approaches like the end of the alley, she kind of like looks behind Luna towards you and just kind of gives like a slow round of applause to you. Zaya, a very impressive fight from the two of you, though from you specifically, wonderful use of that kind of spell.
Thank you. Who are you?
Oh, apologies, how rude of me. My name is Amaranthine. Amaranthynne.
That's a name.
Most names are names. But who, I don't believe I caught your name.
It's Arwynn.
A pleasure to meet you, Arwynn. Well, I don't know if you know exactly who I am.
Not at all.
I am a prefect. Actually, I don't know that you would know what a prefect is. I'm a prefect over at the Mage Academy.
I don't.
There are 5 schools of magic at the Mage Academy, specifically. A prefect is in charge of one of those schools. I was told that a pair of very interesting ferox dropped by to visit me earlier, but I had not been at my post at the time.
Hey, that's us.
Well, he seemed, the guard seemed skeptical of your magical ability, though being able to witness it myself, I see you weren't exactly lying.
Not a reason to be.
Very interesting. Well, I suppose we have a conversation that needs to be had then, as well as a couple people that I would like you to meet.
Who might they be?
A couple more fellows over at the academy.
Alright. I'll take you up on that.
Can you hear that or no?
You're fine.
It's bubbling again.
I know it is. I was just like,
I just didn't know if it was like going to ruin it or not, but...
No, it's like, it's low pitch enough that I don't think it gets picked up at all.
Alright. What was the last thing you said?
I can't remember.
She said, just a couple fellows over at the Mage Academy.
I can take you up on that.
Right. Very well. In that case, for the time being, there's someone else that I have to go and drop by, back by the docks, but if you would not be, if you would be so kind as to accompany me to that.
Sure, why not?
And after that, I can lead you back to your room if your friend would like to wait for you here. Kind of gestures to Luna. Luna just like shrugs and just goes, well, sounds good to me, I guess. Just make sure you bring him back.
I'll probably be able to find my way back.
Alright, sounds good. I'll be waiting for you here. I'll make sure I have a drink ready for you.
Appreciate it.
Okay, so with that, Amaranthine kind of leads you off through the gates, kind of reapproaching to the dock district. Anything you want to talk about at this point? Any conversation you would like to initiate?
So tell me a little bit more about these academies.
The Mage Academy is the place where mages study in the city. Mages are very important to the city as people typically put in a lot of requests for us to go out and take on various tasks and jobs. These are things we get paid for. The world is a very dangerous place as it sits right now. Not only is magic on the decline, but there are all sorts of monstrosities running across basically anywhere that is not a city, to be honest, which makes trade and travel very, very difficult. And so at the Academy, we prepare people to do the best that they can in order to protect those who may not be able to protect themselves or who do a job that are important enough to be deemed protected. There are 5 schools of magic there. The one that I specifically control is the School of the Elementalist.
The Elementalist?
Elementalist, that is correct.
Got it.
Sorry, just looking something up, but she walks. Yes, there are 4 other schools of magic, each with their own prefect, though I know slightly less about them than I do my own, but I don't know, based on the magic that you had showcased, it seems like Elementalist might be possibly a good fit for you, which is why I was so excited.
Why might that be?
Well, an offensive-based spell, elementally based, you might be just the ticket. In case you are unaware, the way that mages work are we have magic inside of us, but in order to access it, we must use our special focuses. Each focus is connected to a specific type of magic, the schools of magic that we have there, such as this ball is typically the, well, not typically, but the focus used by the Elementalist. If you do have the magic inside of you, when we present you with a focus, then this focus will activate and allow you to use the magic. The unfortunate part of this being many of my magical abilities I cannot use if I do not have my focus. But as far as what we can do with this plain crystal ball, things like this. And she just throws it straight up into the air, at a little bit of an angle, but throws it out ahead of you into the air. As soon as it leaves her hand, it just immediately bursts into flames, becoming like a raging ball of like like red in like the outsides, kind of growing into like purple and blue at the insides with how hot it is, like just streaking fire that streaks about 60 feet in the air before just exploding into like an array of fireworks into the sky. Just and with that, like a couple of the flames kind of like flicker out. A few of the embers kind of begin to swirl around and gather together and return in her hand before as she just... And all of a sudden the crystal ball is back in her hand.
That was really cool.
Mm-hmm. That's just one of the tricks that I know, but it's a very useful school of magic.
Fair enough.
Kind of gives it a toss before repocketing her thing. Some things it can be used for protection, but for the most part it's a very offensively based school of magic. It is nothing like the that of the spirit healer or of the Knight Enchantress, but still, it is one that many people find useful all the same.
Alright, I understand.
Is this something that you would perhaps be interested in learning a bit more about? Perhaps coming to visit the Academy when you have an opportunity?
Will the Academy accept someone like me, though?
What do you mean by someone like you?
Wiggles his ears.
There are those who might have an issue with it, though I have always been one who had judged talent and what a person is made of from the inside significantly more than I trust the judgment of what they look on the outside. For example, someone who is talented enough to cast a spell like you have, as well as brave and noble enough to rush into another's defense when there is absolutely no reward to be had, gives me a lot more to work on whether or not you would be worthy to attend than the fact that you have ears or a tail, in my opinion.
You know, most people have ears.
Ears like yours.
Fair enough. It's something I'd like to learn more about.
Very good. In that case, I will definitely have to begin contacting a few of my friends at the Academy to set up a visit, possibly, because I know there's someone else who might need to visit as well.
Oh, really?
Yes, in fact, they are right over there. They seem to have gotten themselves up to quite an afternoon as well. If you look over now on the docks again, and there is a tiefling holding a book in one hand and a staff in the other, as well as what looks like a pale, freckled, red-headed human girl holding some kind of contraption in her arms, a pair of goggles kind of stuck, like kind of wrapped with like the thing that holds the back of goggles to your head.
A strap?
Yeah, the strap kind of hooked around the back, the goggles kind of like sitting up, kind of keeping her hair pushed up out of her face a little bit. Standing there waiting, she's like, and there are the two, well, the one at least that I was looking for at the very moment. Shall we go over and introduce ourselves?
Let's not waste any time.
You head on over, and at this point, we will need to bring in none other than Ash playing Kai.
Oh, dang.
Alright, well, thank you so much for watching today's episode of The Unlucky Few. We did our third session 0, first one of the final arc that we will have. Be sure to check back in after we do Kai, played by Ash's, session 0, as well as Fendian, played by Audie's, session 0. And after all three are done, we will have the finale of our session 0s, showcasing how all three of these very, very unlikely, possibly future friends meet up. Until next time, I have been Liz, that has been Cass, this has been Penelope, and we are the Unlucky Few. Thank you so much. Bye!
If you've enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. We'll be live streaming beginning November 9th, 2019 at twitch.tv/TUFDND. For more updates and content from us, check out our Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, all at TUFDND. Links in the description. From all of us here at The Unlucky Few, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.